Hello. Life is busy, so that's why I'm making this video on the go. But I definitely want to make a better version in the future. But I wanted to take this time to share my testimony of being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I've been a member for 5 years. Well, almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years this May. And I know that a lot of people, there's a lot of misunderstandings about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There's a lot of stigma about it. There's a lot of, first of all, a lot of people call us Mormons. We're not Mormons. That's just what we're called. And some of us identify as Mormons, but it's just a term. But technically, and in my opinion, we're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that's a lot of words, but that's just who we are. So there are definitely a lot of things that exist in the world, in the headspace of the world regarding the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormon Church. We're not the Mormon Church. We're not the Church of Mormon. That is just a name that is assigned to us when people describe us, and it's an inaccurate labeling of us. A lot of these things are like talk about polygamy, and a lot of people in Christian spheres say we worship a different Jesus, and a lot of people say, oh, Joseph Smith was a fraud, he was a bad person, he was whatever. And there are a lot of things like that that exist in the thought space of the world. And if you Google certain things, you will find certain things. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're true, but you'll find people saying them and claiming them. If you actually do your due diligence and look into it and you'll find out that most of the things people say about the church aren't true, and that there's usually a mix of a truth and a lie. There's a lot of people who are against the church, and a lot of people who have left the church and said horrible things about it, and they say, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. It's such a terrible thing, it's such a terrible place, they're so corrupt, they do those bad things, all this kind of stuff. They say, it's a works-based religion, they say it's all these things. Really horrible things. They say it's a high-demand religion. It's another one that I think is kind of a really silly term. But long story short, there's a lot of things that people say about the church. So I'm going to testify to you of my experience as a member in the church. I am not going to tell you this to try to win you over. I'm just going to tell you, matter-of-factly, what my experience in the church has been like, and what my life has been like in the past 5 years. There about 5 years since joining the church. So first, I want to say that joining the church was the best decision I've ever made. Definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made. Turning back to God was the best decision I ever made, but joining the church is on the same level. It's in the same category. It's just as important. So I grew up Christian, and I fell away, and for about 10 years throughout my 20s, and eventually turned back to Him when I was in dire straits in my 30s. And then I joined the church shortly after talking to some missionaries. And it wasn't just that, I just happened to talk to some missionaries and I decided it's a great idea, so I'll join the church. I had been seeking answers from God about what I was supposed to do and where I was supposed to go with my faith. I had been a member of different churches, and things had really, things happened that made me realize that it was not the right place for me to be in. And so I continued on my faith journey, on my walk with God, to go wherever He wanted me to go. And then all of a sudden, everything opened up and lined up, and His answer was to continue talking to these missionaries, basically. I mean, He didn't tell me that, basically, but it's basically the direction I was given, the answer to my prayers, my prayer that was asking, what do you want me to do, Lord? What is it? What do you want me to do? The answer to my prayer was, keep doing what you're doing. And at that point, I was talking to the missionaries. I was reading the Book of Mormon. I got an overwhelming answer, and that's what they tell you. That's what you're told is, if you talk to the missionaries, read the Book of Mormon and then pray to know if it's true. And I prayed to know if it was true, but I already had a very strong spiritual sense that it was true. And I had no reason. There was no reason for me to feel that, no reason for me to believe that it's true, just like randomly. Like I was always taught growing up that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was wrong, basically. That they were like Jehovah's Witnesses, or they were like the Catholics. I grew up Protestant. In that they were wrong. That's what I was always taught. So I had no reason to just randomly believe it was true. And I didn't want to believe something was true out of spite. Like I've done that before. I've done things out of spite because I'm so frustrated with the other angle I'm getting from people. But so in other words, I didn't really have any agenda with just deciding that it was true. I didn't have any reason besides the reason God was giving me that it was true. But I was getting this overwhelming answer that this is the right path. And it was really scary because I was like, dude, I don't want to screw around here. I'm not here to mess up and end up in the wrong religion. You know what I mean? I still believe that you could really, it was such a horrible thing if you go down the wrong path. And I still believe that too. It is such a horrible thing if you go down the wrong path. But, yeah, there's my friend. So I prayed to get an answer, and I was getting that answer. I already had that spiritual answer that it was true. And I was afraid to accept that answer because I didn't want to go down the wrong road. I didn't want to go in the wrong direction. And so I kind of prayed and asked and was like, God, what? I wasn't able to articulate this then, but basically what I was praying in my heart was, God, I'm scared. I don't know if this is the right thing or not. This seems like the right thing, but I don't know. I'm scared. Is this the right thing? I need to know because I'm going to go in this direction. I need to know. And he answered me and he said, keep coming. Keep coming this way. You're going the right way. You're going in the right direction. Keep it up. And I had a relationship with God. I was already seeking answers from him, praying and seeking him and seeking his will actively, very actively, with a very intense dedication. This part's a little hard. This part's a little hard to describe because, but just to demonstrate what my relationship with God was like at that time, it was like that. He was the air that I breathed. He was everything to me. And not that he's not, but now, but he was everything to me, everything. I read my Bible every day. I did everything I could to be closer to him, to know more about him, to figure out what he wanted me to do. I took big jumps of faith, and I did things that I was afraid to do because I felt like they were the right things to do because it was what he was leading me to do. And yeah, I made really big moves because it was what God was leading me to do. And so here I am at this precipice where I'm feeling like this is the right thing, but I'm scared because it goes against what I was told and taught when I grew up. Well, anyway, I chose to get baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because of the answers I was getting from God, because of the Spirit that was testifying to me that this is true, because of it's just hard to explain, but you just know it's true somehow. You just know it's true. And in other words, I wasn't taking a risk. I mean, it was scary, like I said, but I knew it was true. It was just the question was I going to trust what I knew? God had already given me an answer. Was I going to trust it? And there was a point where I almost didn't, and I almost went backwards and almost didn't get baptized. And I knew then and there, because they told me when the missionaries challenged me to get baptized on a certain day. And I wanted to get baptized. I was like, yeah, I want this. I want to get baptized. This is going to be awesome. I know this is the right path. I'm going in the right direction. Yeah, that'll be really great. I'll get baptized. This is going to be great. That's what I was thinking, right? And then they said, well, we challenge you to get baptized on May 1st. And I was thinking, as soon as they said that, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, May 1st? Oh my gosh. Like, what? That is so soon. That's so soon. Like, I was like, I'm not ready. I'm so not ready. I'm not ready. And I got scared. And I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I'm scared. And instead of telling them, like, well, I don't want to get baptized yet, I agreed to it. Because I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, if I don't agree to this right now, I am going to change my mind, and I'm going to stall, and I'm going to have second thoughts, and I'm going to think about it, and then I'm going to drag my feet. And then who knows if this is ever going to happen again? Who knows if I will ever get baptized? Who knows if the Spirit will convict me enough to this point to realize that it's the truth? Who knows if I'll ever get this close again, to the truth. And so I decided to get baptized. I went with it. I went through it. And it was wonderful. And it was also hard because, like, my family didn't understand. And they didn't support me necessarily. They didn't come to my baptism. And that was really, really hard. So that's my intro. Long story short, sorry for the long. This is going to be a very, very long video, I guess. Hopefully it's not too long here. But that's the long and skinny of the beginning. That's how I came to the church. Now, since I've been in the church, since I made that decision to join the church, my life has been amazing. And I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you what I mean. I have had challenges. I have had hard times. I have had struggles. I have had changes. I've had ups and downs. I've had big struggles. Once again, big challenges. But I have had the Spirit with me in my life the entire time, depending on what I was doing. And what I mean is, if I was doing something wrong, the Spirit wasn't with me as much. If I had just recently sinned, the Spirit wasn't with me that much. But when I repented of my sins, which we should do every day, when I repented of my sins, and when I focused on what God wanted me to do, go to church, serve in my calling. At church, they give you a calling, something to do, basically. An assignment, basically. A role, a job, basically, at church. Go to church, serve my calling, keep the word of wisdom, go to the temple, serve my fellow man, and keep the commandments, try to be a disciple of Christ, try to be a good example of God and of Christ to everyone else around me, work with the missionaries, share the gospel as much as I can, and read my scriptures. When I did those things, and I have done those things, like, pretty much the whole time. I'm not perfect, and I have definitely fallen, and I've definitely sinned, but I've had bumps along the way. But I have genuinely done that. And because I've done that, and because I've made promises to God in the temple, He's made promises to me, and I've kept up my end of the bargain to the best of my ability. And that means I've made mistakes, and that means I've fallen, and that means I've messed up, but I've repented for those things. He has been faithful to me, and I have seen. I'm not making this up. I could make up whatever, but obviously lying is wrong, so I'm not here to lie. I'm not here to lie. I'm not here to twist the truth or stretch the truth. I'm here to tell you what my experience has been, to testify of being a member of the church. And I have felt more of God's presence in my life. I have seen His protection in my life. I've seen His blessings in my life. I have received blessings from tithing. I have received blessings from serving faithfully, from doing the things I'm supposed to do. I've seen my family be blessed. I've seen the temple bless me. I've seen the temple bless my family. Just recently, just yesterday, my brother, his girlfriend, and their 3 kids were all sick as dogs with the flu. In terrible, terrible shape. My mom was worried sick about them. And I prayed for them. I was asked to pray for them. I prayed for them. I asked my fiance to pray for them, which my fiance is another example of what of one of God's great blessings, His greatest blessings to me, that I know comes from being a member in His church and being faithful. But our local temple's been closed lately, and usually there's a function at the temple where you can go online and enter names onto the prayer log, and those names will get prayed for at the temple. But with the temple being closed, I asked my fiance if she would enter my brother's family's names in on the temple logs at her temple, because she's assigned to a different one because she lives in another state. And she did. Well, I just got done talking to my mom today. This was yesterday that I prayed and she prayed and put the names in the temple roll. My brother is doing way much better. My littlest niece is doing better. They're all doing better. And that's just a small example of like what happens. Like, it's hard to convey and explain this to you, but I have seen miracles, and I have seen God's faithfulness. I've seen His steadiness, the steadiness of His hand. I felt the constant presence of His Spirit with me. And I can just tell you, before being baptized, and when I go through the rough times, when I sin and I fall away and I don't feel His Spirit with me as much, it is a night and day difference having His Spirit with me and in my life since joining the church, and when I'm doing things the way I'm supposed to. It is a night and day difference when you have His Spirit with you. Like, when you know you're doing the wrong thing, you'll know you're doing the wrong thing. And you'll feel His Spirit kind of pull away, or you'll feel Him nudge you in a different direction. Like, when you know you're about to do something that you shouldn't do, the Spirit is not going to tell you to do it. The Spirit's going to tell you, you might want to not do that. And then if you listen to the Spirit, you'll have more of it with you, and you'll have more of a sense of it. I've been blessed in a lot of ways that are hard to explain and hard to put in words. I have a very, very awesome friend who was my first branch president, which is basically like a pastor in an LDS church. We don't have pastors, but we will have a branch president or a bishop. My first branch president has been the best friend I could have ever asked for. He constantly looked out for me since I joined the church, and eventually I got called to serve with him in the branch presidency. And I've served with him, and it was such an amazing blessing serving with him and others. And he got released, and we have a new branch president, and I'm serving with him now. And my former branch president is still the amazing man that he was when I first met him. His family is so kind to me. They invite me over for dinner. They go out of their way to help me. They always ask if there's something I need to let them know. They pray for me. They root for me. They had been praying and rooting for me to find my eternal companion, to find my true love. And they were with me through the heartache. They were with me through the pain. They were with me through everything, all the ups and downs of getting so close and then being so far away, of finding the person and having my heart broken. And now I have found the right person, and we're engaged, and we're going to get married and sealed together for time and all eternity in the temple in a few months. And I can just tell you right now, like, I've been there where I'm like praying and praying and praying and wondering who this person is. How am I going to find her? Where is she? When am I going to find her? When am I going to find her, you know? And it's difficult finding someone. It can be difficult finding someone when you're a member of the church, because you want somebody who's a member of the church as well. And it's hard, especially depending on where you live. It can be really hard to find somebody depending on where you live. And even if you live in like Utah or something, it's hard to find people sometimes because you want to find the right person, right? And I prayed and searched and was on Mutual dating app and was on all these different apps and did everything I could to find her, and I couldn't find her. And I went to a singles thing, and I just put so much effort into it and had a really great relationship with someone last year, and it fell apart, and it broke my heart really, really bad. And I thought that she was the one. I swore she was the one. I knew she was the one, right? I just knew it, right? But she wasn't. And that was really, really hard because I had never experienced a relationship like that with someone who's also a member of the church who had the Spirit with them. But then I just kept doing my thing, minding my own business, going to school, working on myself, working on my responsibilities. And when the opportunity came, with the help of others, I was able to go to the singles conference. And I ended up, through going to that singles conference, meeting my fiance. And it happened serendipitously, and I couldn't be happier. And I've seen it happen to me all around me ever since joining the church. I've seen the missionaries come and serve and go home and then find someone and then get married and then have children. Like, I've seen this happen, and see how happy they are and see how much joy they have and see how complete and how full they feel and how full they are, you know? And I've just wanted that so bad, and I've wanted it and longed for it and looked for it and strained for it and struggled for it and tried for it and worked for it and wanted it so bad for so long. And now here I am, and she's right by my side, you know? I'm on my way to see her right now. And it's so amazing. There are just so many blessings. I cannot tell you. I can't even tell you the half of it. The blessings of going to the temple, the peace that you feel in your life from going to the temple, the peace that you have when you go to the temple and you do an endowment session, or you do a session there, and then you go and sit in the celestial room, which is supposed to symbolize being in God's presence, which it is basically like, yeah, you're in God's presence, all right. In that room, there's so much peace, and you are protected from the world. You're in the celestial room. You're basically in a place that has more peace than anywhere else in the world. And that does something to you. It's healing. It's relaxing. It's soothing. It helps you hear the answers. It helps you hear God's voice more clearly. And I have had that. I have been there. I've spent time there. And I will continue to go and spend time there. And it's brought me so much peace and so much joy. And I have had a joyful countenance as part of my life, as part of my personality. It's just who I am. I have a joyful countenance. You know, we all go through struggles, and sometimes we're having stress and stuff. But I have a joyful countenance, and I have the Spirit with me, and I notice it when I'm around my family. I notice it when I'm around others. I see it. I feel it. It's noticeable. It's hard to explain, but it's noticeable. And I am just so thankful for it. And I see, not only do I see the presence of the Spirit in my life, but I see the absence of the Spirit in others' lives. And I want to be a little careful about that, because I'm not here to judge people, but I can see the difference. And I see what my brothers are missing, basically. And they have the Spirit with them too, because of their beliefs and because of they're Christians. But I just know. I just have the Spirit with me, and I just know that I know how much God loves them. And I can feel it. I just know it. And I'm so happy when I'm with them, and I'm so happy to see them. I'm so happy to talk to them. And it's the Spirit that's with me. It's the Holy Spirit that's helping me, that's a companion to me, that helps me to see these things and realize these things and feel these things. I have been helped in so many ways. Like I said before, I've had struggles. I had a bolt break off my car that holds one of my tires on, and I had to fix it. And didn't know what I was doing, was far away from home. I had a flat tire, far away from home. Another church member, a really, really awesome, amazing, great guy in my church, came out and helped me, gave me a ride, took me, helped me, bought a tire for me when I couldn't afford it, and I paid him back slowly. And a tire is still on this car, and it's been on here for over a year. I have been helped with struggles I've had, financial struggles, problems with toll tickets. It sounds silly or funny, but Easy Pass tolls, they get really expensive after a while. And when you get behind on them, which I did, they start increasing. And then you need to renew your registration, but you can't until you clear all of them. I've been helped by the church. I've been helped by a branch president. We have had problems with our septic tank at home, where it was not a $200, $300 fix. This was a multiple $1,000 fix that we couldn't afford, and we had no idea how to afford it. But because I pay my tithe and I do what I'm supposed to do, I brought that need to the church and shared it with the branch president, my branch president. I was helped. I was helped by the church. I was helped by the Lord. That bill was paid for. And that's what the church does. It's not there to pay people's bills, but it's there. It's part of the gift of doing things the way you're supposed to, serving God. You are blessed for doing it. And there are just so many blessings I have felt and experienced since being a member of this church. I can't even explain it. I can't tell you how wonderful it has been. It has been that wonderful. And I have got to know people, and I have built friendships and memories. And now that I'm going to get married soon, I'm moving an hour away to another state to be with my fiance and future wife, and I'll be leaving my branch that I've been in for four or 5 years. And it's really hard. But those people are going to be with me in our sealing, and they're going to be with us at our wedding. And they're going to be there. And I'm going to be able to come see them from time to time when I come back to visit my family from time to time. And these blessings are just so, I think you can get a sense of these blessings that I'm explaining to you. These blessings are bigger than I could have ever asked for. It hasn't always been easy. It's not easy sometimes, you know? Sometimes you're really struggling. Sometimes you don't want to get up and do this or do that. But God knows that, and He knows we're not perfect, and He has mercy on us. And that's why Jesus atoned for our sins, because we're not perfect and we need Him, and we need to turn to Him. But when we do, we are blessed in so many ways. And I have, from watching General Conference, the blessing of seeing the church leaders, listening to President Nelson, the prophet, and the former prophet and former president of the church, hearing his messages since 2021 when I joined, up until him dying last September at the age of 101, and seeing all the other church leaders and learning about the church and visiting a church historical site in Kirtland, Ohio, where the church was first being assembled back then in the 1800s. Seeing Joseph Smith's, being in Joseph Smith's where he lived, and seeing and going into the temple there, the Kirtland Temple, and experiencing church history, and reading the words of the prophets, reading the words of apostles, reading the words of those inspired by the Spirit of God. It's just different, and it does something to you, something wonderful. And I can't say enough about it. I am so blessed. The knowledge I've learned is so comforting. It's so stabilizing. It's so reassuring. And it is so true. When you follow God and you do the things you're supposed to do, He will protect you. And yeah, you'll have challenges. Yeah, you'll have struggles. But you know what? You'll be okay. And I have always been okay. And I know that it's from I know that comes from being a faithful member of His church. Making promises with Him to be faithful. In other words, covenants. We make covenants in the temple between ourselves and God. We commit to Him. We commit to following Him. We commit to living the way we're supposed to live. And we do that to the best of our abilities. And we are blessed because of those covenants we make. He is always faithful. He never backs away from His promise. And so when we're faithful to Him, He's always faithful to us. But when we're faithful to Him and He's faithful to us, it is more than you can comprehend. It's more than I can comprehend. And so I just want to testify of all these things to you, that this is what it's been like since I've joined the church. I am so thankful. I've had jobs, I've had blessings, I have had just the Spirit. I've seen people in my family change. I've seen the positive effect I've seen my family progress and change and grow closer to God. I've been able to read the Book of Mormon with my grandparents. I've been able to take my mom to church. I've been able to take her to a few firesides, taken to my grandparents to a fireside. I've taken my dad to the temple when they were having the temple open house. Taken my family and some friends there too, my cousin. And now, hopefully, for my wedding, I'll be able to have my family at the temple with me as well to greet us as we come out of the temple and be able to feel that Spirit and be able to witness the Spirit of that amazing thing of two people getting sealed together is just so much more than I could have comprehended, so much more than I could have imagined. When I prayed to God before I joined the church, I was in the bathroom praying, like kneeling over the side of the tub praying, and just asking him, there's more, there has to be more. I know there has to be more. Please tell me, what is it? What is it? What is it? I know there has to be more. I know there has to be more. I know there has to be more. And then He gives me the answer, and He shows me what that more is. And the more was the fact that there's more scripture than the Bible, that there is so much more that I never knew and that I could never comprehend because I wasn't ready for it. But I became ready for it. And when He gave me that answer, that gift of what the more actually is that I was asking for, when He gave me that more, it was like the best Christmas you could ever comprehend. More than you could comprehend. It's like the best gift you've ever been given that you could have never comprehended. You could have never comprehended this gift. And now it's been given to you. And now it's so mind-blowing. It literally takes months, weeks, months, maybe even a couple years. Well, it takes a lifetime to fully realize it and comprehend it. But it takes time to comprehend. It's so amazing. It's so immaculate, I want to say, that it takes time to comprehend it. It's so mind-blowing. It took me so long. It took me so long. Like when I joined the church, I felt like my mind was perpetually on loading, because it couldn't comprehend how amazing it was. And since then, I've gotten a better understanding, but I still don't fully understand how amazing it is. That's how amazing it is. So, of anything you might hear anyone say about the church negatively, or anything that anybody might claim about Joseph Smith or whatever, or about polygamy or whatever, or about the Book of Mormon, anything they say, there are pastors out there today saying that it is demonic, that the Church of Jesus Christ is demonic, etc., etc., etc. There are people out there telling people things like that today. Those voices are not telling the truth. What I just got done sharing with you is absolutely true. And think about it, I'm literally just sitting here, I'm in the dark now, but I'm literally sitting here telling you these things. Why? Why am I telling you these things? Because it's true. And because obviously if it's true, then because it's a big deal. And because you should know about it. You should know about it. And if you don't believe me, if this testimony isn't good enough for you to at least think about it and look into it and be like, dang, he's actually saying something here, or wow, that's pretty amazing. If it's not good enough for you, ask any other member of the church. Ask any other of the 17 million some members of the church worldwide, any of them. Talk to the missionaries, they'll bear their testimony in a heartbeat. Ask any member of the church, and they'll tell you the same thing. They'll tell you how much the church has blessed them. They'll tell you how much it's blessed their family. They'll tell you how much they know that it's true. The Spirit has testified to them that this is true. The Spirit testifies to me that it's true, to the point where I know it's true and I can't deny it. It's just like God, it's just like Joseph Smith said. He said, I knew it, and I knew that God knew it, and I knew that I could not deny it. You can't deny it. It gets to that point where you can't deny it. And eventually, if you choose to deny it, and if you choose to leave the church or go astray or whatever, go a different way, it's like, that's fine. But your life will change. It will not be the same. You will be missing something. And everybody has different paths. Sometimes you kind of have to go down a certain road just for your own personal growth or whatever. But I encourage you not to leave, not to get off the road. Don't leave the church. Don't. Regardless of your reason, just don't do it. Stay in there. Take care of yourself. Be healthy. But stay in the church. And if it's hard for you to talk to people, then take your time and do what's best for you, you know? But I can tell you, I haven't really got close to leaving the church, but I did fall into a three-week slump one time. I didn't go to church one time. And this was also around the time where I made a pretty big mistake and committed a pretty big sin. And I was reeling from that. I didn't go to church. And then the next week came around, and I didn't go to church that week either. And now I was starting to feel like, oh, okay, I'm kind of getting into this different territory now. Like, I'm doing something different. I don't usually do this. What's going on? What is my life right now? What direction am I going in? Because I feel like I'm going in a different direction. I started realizing that. I almost didn't go a third week in a row. And then I caught myself, thankfully, and decided, no, I need to go. Because what am I doing? Why am I not going to church? What, am I just going to not go to church now? And I went back to church. And since then, I've continued to go to church. And, do I miss a week here or there? Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm sick. Or something like that. I'm not bragging on my consistency or whatever, but I go. I just go. I just go because I know it's the right thing to do. And I know it's the right place to be. And sometimes we're going through things and we're going through hard things. But church is not for perfect people. We don't go to church because we're perfect. We go to church because we need to. Because we need to renew our covenants. We need to ask for forgiveness. And we need to take the sacrament. And we need to listen to the talks of our brothers and sisters in Christ. We need to hear the messages from our leaders of the church, in the church. We need to be edified by the teachings of the scriptures. And we need to be edified by the Spirit, and taught and led by the Spirit, and help and literally be led in the direction that we're supposed to go in, because that's what will happen. When we start to get lost, that's what will happen. The Spirit will lead us in the direction we're supposed to go. And we'll know the direction we're supposed to go. It just becomes a question of, are we going to do it or not? And I'm just going to tell you, with everything that I have, that is the best decision you can make. I've seen it before. I've seen people get so close to getting baptized, and then something happens and they just don't do it. or someone gets baptized and then they fall away, or they go off the radar for a while, or we don't see them anymore. But I've also seen it where people get baptized and they continue to come to church, and it continues to bless their life. It continues to change their life. The more effort you put into it, the more effort you put into being faithful to God, the more you seek to do His will, the more faithful you are, the more you read your scriptures, the more you will feel His Spirit in your life, the more you'll be blessed for doing the right thing. And I'm a living witness of that. I've experienced that. I've experienced all of that. And I'm so thankful that I have, and that I can witness to you and tell you that that's true, and that it is true. I'm so thankful for that. It's blessed me in so many ways. I'm on a career path now. I'm on a track to graduate with my associate's degree in the spring. I went back to school late in my 30s. It's never too late. And I'm going to have a wonderful career. I'm going to be able to provide for my family. I'm going to have children. I already have kids, actually. My girlfriend, my fiance, she already has kids, and they've already taken to me. There are so many more blessings than we can ever comprehend if only we will choose to do what's right. Read the Book of Mormon, talk to the missionaries, go to church, ask questions, but show up and keep coming. It always takes effort, and if you're willing to put the effort in, it will be returned to you tenfold, more than you can count. And I testify of all these things, and I testify of them in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.